What drives a president who hates Camp David to retreat there right when his administration is falling apart? Trump is scared, and the evidence is everywhere. Stay until the end because this video is going to show you what the media isn't telling you. Subscribe to the channel and hit like. There's a detail most people scroll right past. Donald Trump, a man who spent years mocking Camp David as a rustic, boring place, who once said anyone would enjoy it for exactly 30 minutes. That same man planned to summon his entire cabinet there in May 2026. The trip would have been Trump's first return to Camp David in nearly a year. And it wasn't just any visit. The White House indicated that all cabinet members were expected to attend, including Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who had announced her resignation the week before. Think about that. You don't call an emergency meeting with your entire cabinet at a location that deliberately keeps the press away unless there's something you don't want the public to see or hear in real time. Camp David has probably the best security of any other place, Trump himself said during a previous visit. We're going to be meeting with a lot of people, including generals and admirals. That doesn't sound like a casual weekend retreat. That sounds like crisis management. In June 2025, Trump and his entire foreign policy team gathered for hours at Camp David to discuss U.S. strategy on the Iranian nuclear crisis and the war in Gaza. The meeting included Trump, Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and other senior officials. So there's a clear pattern here. Camp David gets used when matters are too serious to discuss with cameras in the hallway. The plan was canceled after new U.S. strikes on Iran raised concerns about a potential peace deal. The official explanation was bad weather, but the timeline is telling. The meeting was announced in the morning, just hours after the Iran escalation, and canceled in the afternoon. Weather doesn't change presidential decisions of that magnitude. What changes presidential decisions are political crises spiraling out of control. The question isn't where Trump went or didn't go. The question is what he was trying to do away from public view and what made him pull back. Let's talk about what's going on with Donald Trump's health, because this isn't sensationalist speculation. These are documented facts that the American government itself has confirmed, albeit incompletely and evasively. Trump is the oldest person ever to be inaugurated as President of the United States. He turns 80 in June. His age, swollen ankles, and bruised hands have repeatedly raised questions about his health and fitness for office. Trump's most recent physical at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center drew renewed scrutiny after the White House confirmed that 22 medical specialists took part in the evaluation, the largest number publicly disclosed for a presidential exam in modern records. The unusual number of professionals, combined with the administration's refusal to identify the specialists or explain why so many were involved, has generated questions from doctors and health policy experts about transparency surrounding the 79-year-old president's health, 22 specialists for a routine checkup. The White House said this reflects multidisciplinary assessment consistent with best practices. That's a non-answer, and anyone with medical experience knows it. Trump built much of his 2024 campaign on the argument that Joe Biden was too old to serve as president. Now, just 3 weeks before turning 80, Trump faces questions about his own age and fitness, the very same questions he turned against his predecessor. Last summer, Trump was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, which occurs when veins are damaged and struggle to send blood back to the heart. Independent physicians note that leg swelling can signal other underlying conditions, and that the president's frequent aspirin use is consistent with cardiovascular risk factors. The White House says Trump remains in excellent health and is the sharpest, most accessible president in American history. But they haven't released the names of the 22 specialists. They haven't explained which specialties were represented. They haven't answered why a president supposedly in excellent health requires 3 visits to Walter Reed in 13 months. The precedent Trump himself said is clear. When a president conceals information about their health, The public has the right to ask questions. He said that himself about Biden. Now the question turns back on him. What makes this moment particularly revealing isn't just the Camp David question. It's the broader context of an administration that is losing key pieces at precisely the moment it faces its most complex crises. Tulsi Gabbard resigned as Trump's director of national intelligence, becoming the fourth cabinet member to leave during Trump's second term. The official reason was her husband's rare cancer diagnosis, but the political context is inseparable from the personal one. Joe Kent, director of the National Counterterrorism Center, had announced his resignation months earlier, saying he could not, in good conscience, support the war against Iran. That's not a bureaucratic exit. That's a senior intelligence official publicly stating he disagrees with the most consequential decision this administration has made. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said a peace deal with Iran could be finalized in a few more days. Trump will get a good deal or no deal, Rubio told reporters. That's extremely high stakes diplomacy being managed in real time, with an intelligence team now without its director and with documented internal dissent. Trump had declared in a social media post that a U.S.-Iran deal has been largely negotiated, but then demanded that Middle Eastern nations immediately sign the Abraham Accords as part of any negotiation, a demand Pakistan has already rejected. This is an administration that announces victories before achieving them, that loses its top intelligence officials in the middle of a war, and that tries to hold secretive cabinet meetings away from the press at precisely the moment the stakes are highest. The mainstream media has been treating each of these elements as separate stories. Trump's health, Gabbard's resignation, the Iran standoff, the Camp David cancellation. But when you put it all together, a far more troubling picture emerges. A president about to turn 80 with health under increasing scrutiny, governing with a team that's coming apart, facing a war with no clear resolution, and seeking isolation at the exact moment he should be most present and transparent. Camp David isn't a refuge. It's a signal. You'd have to be blind not to see it. If this video made you think, hit like it's simple, and it makes a huge difference for the channel. Subscribe so you don't miss the next analyses, because this administration is going to keep generating news that the mainstream media is underplaying. And let me know in the comments. Do you think Trump is hiding something about his health, or is this frequency of exams genuinely precautionary? I want to read your take. Serious political conversation happens here.